Following and worshipping God is a straight path. And in line with this message, God has sent now this prophet, the unlettered prophet, Al-Ummi, and Nabiul Ummi, the unlettered prophet, to be the guide and the prophet for all times. All times, for all people.
Hold on.
That is the distinction between the previous prophets and this last
That
prophet.
reference you're talking about is regarding Jesus.
In the Quran, it is referring to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that God has sent the final messenger, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to be the last of all the prophets, with the final revelation, the Quran, so that we will now have to look at this Quran, look at his message, study the messenger, and then accept after verifying it, so that we will have salvation in the hereafter. Because salvation only comes by following and not worshipping God. And how do we know the will of God? The will of God is only expressed through his revelation.
Now, on the subject of the revelation, this is not to refute what the Quran said. However, why is it that Muslims accept Jesus in one form and not in another form? I.e., he's a prophet, but he was only a prophet.
He wasn't only just a prophet, he was one of the mighty prophets and messenger of God.
Demote him in that
Yeah.
What I meant is just a prophet as in
Sure. The Quran clearly, categorically denies any divinity to any of the creation. Divinity is only for God. God is the only divine God, possesses divine attributes. The angels are not divine. They are creation, and they do works which God commands them to do. Right? They're not divine beings. Neither is anything of the creation. When we say, look, this is like a divine, but we're just simply saying the only being who is God is God.
For
none else.
No, I just wanted to
Muslims
clarify.
don't worship angels or prophets or anything of that nature.
Anyone who worships Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is going to go to hell.
Exactly.
Without a shadow of doubt.
So Muslims only give divinity to God or Allah, and we only worship Allah because we believe He's the only one worthy to be worshipped.
That was the consistent message, we say, as Quran tells us, from day one, when God has been sending prophets and messengers, always, أَنِ اعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ وَاجْتَنِبُوا الطَّاغُوتَ. Worship Allah and abandon and reject and shun the false gods. False gods could be your own desires, or it could be your community leader, or it could be anyone, anything, right? Or it could be idols that you make. That's what us people used to do. Only being who is worthy of our absolute gratitude and worship is God. That is the message the Quran is saying. That means God has not given this station of divine or being a God in some way to any of his creation. Not Jesus, not Moses, not Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Even though their status is so high, not angels. No creation. The only one who has this divine attributes is God, and he's the one who is perfect. Everyone else, no, they're only creation of God.
Okay, when you say
Mansur, how are you doing? Good. Alhamdulillah.
When you say only God is perfect, we know God is perfect because no one and no other being is like him. But why do you refute that Jesus was also perfect?
When you say Jesus is perfect, remember, perfection is not only through your just good body, for example, your physique. We're talking about attributes. A perfect attribute is an attribute in which there is no deficiencies and weaknesses and limitation and restriction. If Jesus has attributes of perfection, that will make him divine. Because only divine being has attributes of perfection, and that we say is God. If you consider the scripture should be the arbiter in this issue. Was Jesus Christ one who possessed attributes of perfection? Or was he in total dependence on God for his attributes?
And when we talk,
For example, did God give him glory? Yes. You cannot give glory to someone who has it already.
exactly.
If your glass is already full, you can't fill it. It's already full.
Exactly.
So if Jesus is receiving glory, that means he didn't have glory. If Jesus is given power and authority, it means at one point before this giving, he didn't have it. So the point you didn't have it, you were not perfect. So he started with an imperfect state. And then additionally something is given. Look, God can make you super knowledgeable than everyone here, but still it doesn't make you divine. It makes you very knowledgeable. God can grant prophets and messengers certain favors that no one has. No one has. So God favored, in fact, like this, some prophets over others. We make no distinction between them. It's the conferring of grace and favor God gives from His will and His wisdom. It doesn't make them divine. So we are saying in the person of Christ, He is one of the mighty messengers, noble person, a prophet. So a Muslim who insults Jesus, he is in a very messy state in his faith. Anyone who disbelieves in him as a prophet of God is not even going to be a Muslim. Because a condition to be a Muslim is to have faith in Islam. And there is articles of faith. One of the articles is to believe in and have faith in the prophets that God has sent. If you reject one, it's like you reject the whole of them. And you're no longer a Muslim. So yes, just because we put Jesus Christ to be who He is, removing His alleged conferred divinity, we are not insulting Him in any way. We are saying, look, there is a station of prophets and God. It's not equal. Prophets and God is not equal.
To build on what Brother Mansur was saying, when he says perfect, what he means is necessarily perfect. So in order for our existence to be dependent on this being, for it to be necessarily perfect, not perfect in a way of did nothing wrong, commit no sin, just to clarify that to you. You see what I'm saying? So what he means is all-powerful, all-knowing, those divine attributes of perfect. You see? So in the English language it's limited. So when Brother Mansur says was not perfect in that manner, it's not an insult to the Prophet, you see? It's just a distinction between perfection of divinity and non-divinity. So am I correct in that?
I'm clear on that explanation you brought in, and thank you for that. So my question now is, as an extension to that,
sure.
Does the Quran, or indeed Muslims, refute or reject that Jesus was born of a virgin?
It is something that the Quran clearly says. When Mary...
Isn't that divinity in itself?
No, I'll give you the reasons why. The Quran clearly teaches the virgin birth of Christ. So she did not have a physical connection with any man whatsoever. And yes, inshallah. So God gave this creation, Jesus, in her womb. Okay? Both of them to be a sign of people. If you now consider the ways God has created human beings, when you have father and mother involved, the combination is like, whoa. Either you have no father and no mother and you exist without them. And that's an example of Adam. Yeah? Okay, thank you. Yeah, we're going to wrap this up so that we can go to pray. Okay. Our prayer time comes. But just to summarize on this question that you've asked. Adam had no father and no mother, but he was created by God. So if you consider him, God can create without a father and mother. Eve was created from the ribs of Adam, from a man. So like from a man only, not from a woman. You and I come from man and a woman. What's left is from a woman alone, and that's Jesus Christ. Okay? So this is one of the wisdom our scholars say that God is demonstrating His creative power and His majesty, that He can create in every possible way to show you the signs of and wonders of God so that you can believe in Him. Yeah? So Christ indeed didn't have a physical father. Just like Adam is not made into a god because of the absence of any man and a woman for his life, or Eve is not someone who came from a mother, it doesn't make her God or confer some kind of divinity. If you think about it, okay, where do human beings normally come from? They develop inside the womb of a mother. So if I tell you, but I can get another human being from the ribs, which is more difficult, which is more extraordinary, you will say from the ribs. So in the existence or beginning of existence of Jesus and Eve, if you compare these two, it's more miraculous the beginning of existence of Eve, coming from the ribs of a man, compared to coming from the wombs of a woman who was designed to produce babies in the first place. So these examples show that none of these can be somehow elevated to divine status, and their divine being, their God and divinity, just because of a virgin birth.
We'll talk some more in there. I unfortunately have to go myself.
Me too. Take care. I appreciate speaking to us.
Another day we can maybe.
Yeah. What's your name?
My name is JR.
JR. It's a pleasure speaking to you. Carry on reading the Quran. Mansur. Carry on reading the Quran. And then, of course, as you said, you're taking the guidance already. The Quran says in one point, Udu ila silmi kaffa. Come into Islam wholeheartedly. That's the goal that I wish that you take.
That's an invitation.
Yes. Thank you. Take care.